brain dead listening to all of us up here, so I appreciate your indulgence as we just take a moment to recognize this milestone. John and I are incredibly proud to stand here and accept our Master Elite from Drive. When we joined Management Success in late 2013, the business was kind of putting along, and we thought we were doing great. We were doing about $400,000. We could always get the bills paid, but John was frustrated, and he was always working more hours without really getting ahead for that sacrifice. Far too many evenings he was going back to work at the shop, and we just couldn't see the rewards coming in. He was professionally treading water. His head was above the water, but he wasn't really going anywhere. So he came back from a Management Success promotional weekend and told me that he had signed up with them and he had paid $13,000 with a check that he wrote off of the business credit card. And of course, my words were pretty straightforward and simple. I said, "You did what?" But after a pretty lengthy conversation, I really realized that John was saying, "I need help. And I need somebody to help me to change." And this was how he was going to do it. Now, I can't say that that transition was not without some pains and some bumps and bruises along the way, but I can tell you unequivocally that it was worth it. The first thing John had to change was himself. That wasn't easy, but I'm proud to say that you did it. Through the Management Success classes, he learned new things that had nothing to do with fixing a car. And it helped him to change how he approached operating a business. Every Sunday night, we would go down to the shop, and we would do these reports and these statistical things that his consultant wanted him to do. Many times, we weren't really sure why we were doing this, but we forged ahead, and we did it together. And I tried to help him the best that I could. Numbers and statistics had to become our friend and not our enemy. We had to hire a service advisor. Of course, John went kicking and screaming down that path. And the customers had to realize that they couldn't talk to John every time they walked into the shop or called on the telephone. That was as painful for our customers as it was for John. John just couldn't be all things to all people. Step by step, things changed, and the business started to grow. And it grew, and we formed a team that helped us to grow even more. So it didn't just become all about what John could do, it became about what our team could do. And we've never looked back. In 2018, John convinced me to quit my miserable job in the mortgage business and become his business manager. So we have a lot of togetherness. But in 2021, in the middle of a pandemic, we had our biggest year, and we did just shy of $1.2 million. And I have the daily report from the day we crossed over the $1 million level, and that was an accomplishment that we never thought would be possible. In addition to that, we can leave our shop in the hands of our team, and we know that they are going to handle things and they will do it just as well as if we were standing right next to them. That's a pretty good feeling to have. Of course, that didn't happen just because of John's determination and my support of him. It grew because we had some terrific help along the way, and we need to say thank you to a few people. First, to two people who are no longer with Drive, but were critical to our success. To Octavio, who was our first service advisor, he knew when to push John and when to step back. He was always there to talk. He was always a positive voice in what we thought was the wilderness. And he helped us through a lot of difficult moments. And of course, to Nicole, she kept us on track with classes and always put the next challenge in front of us, and she made us feel comfortable about spending more and more money. She encouraged us to keep taking the classes and to shoot for becoming masters. And even though they have both moved on from this organization, we want to acknowledge their importance in our journey. We also want to say a big thank you to Larry. He's been supportive and kind for many years. We need to say thank you to Carla, who is the heart and soul of the top 20. She's a steady presence and a great sounding board when we need to drill down on a problem or we need to talk something out. Her influence in our lives and in our business is profound. Thank you, Carla. No one achieves success without the support of friends and colleagues. We are blessed to have the friendship of those in the top 20, and they are people that we can rely on to be honest and encouraging. So to everyone in the top 20, thank you for being part of an organization that keeps us engaged. Thank you for opening your shops for visits, because we learn something every time we come to your shop. And it's so much easier to steal an idea from somebody than to think it up on your own. We want to especially recognize the friendship and camaraderie of our top 20 subgroup, the Magnificent Seven. To Dave, to Dan, to Brandon and Kelsey, and to Adam, all of whom are here tonight, thank you. To Chuck and Joe, who are not here, we're sending you our thoughts. You are the reason that we feel that Drive continues to help us to grow. You help us to grow. Every Tuesday when we get together in our group, it's a day that we don't miss unless there's something super, super important, like my mother's in the emergency room or something. We can't live without that connection with our Magnificent Seven. So we want to thank you for helping us to become master elites, but especially we would like to thank you for being our friends. Finally, my love and gratitude to Steve Taylor. Steve is a fellow Texan. He isn't in the Magnificent Seven, but we met at a top 20 meeting and we started talking. And I don't think we've stopped talking since then. We've become fast friends, and I would venture to say best friends. Whether it's business or personal, the phone lines between Galveston and Kaufman are always lit up. My day is never complete unless I talk to you, Steve. And John always asks me every day, "Did you talk to Steve today?" And I usually say, "Yeah, I did." So John and I are grateful to have met you and Angie, and I am particularly blessed by your friendship, especially after I whispered into your ear after you graciously toured me through your shops and Mesquite, and I said, "You know, Steve, it's kind of a shithole." So thank you, and always remember you're my number 2. And I have to recognize John, who stands next to me. You might think this is all about me just because I'm the one doing the talking, but John's really petrified to talk in front of a crowd. So it just befalls to me. You are smart, you are driven, you are dedicated, you are honest, you are kind, and I am blessed to share my life with you. So this is about you. Out there tonight is to open your minds to a new way of doing business. Understand that having a successful business is as much about knowing how to run a business as it is about fixing a car. Drive can help you, but they can't do it for you. You have to want to do it for yourself. You have to want to do it for your family. Believe that if you want your business to change, you must change. That's number 1. You can't do anything before you change yourself. It might be hard, but it's worth it. And if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Build a talented team and do everything within your power to keep them. Encourage them and reward them financially, emotionally, and professionally. Remember, there's always more customers out there. There's thousands of them. But it's really hard to find a new team member. So don't forget that. Understand that there will be difficulties in life. There's no free pass. Every mistake that you think you've made or you're afraid to make, I can guarantee you John and I have already made it. But we've weathered the storms. Drive has given us knowledge and information that helps us to adjust and make better decisions going forward than we made in the past. Complete your stats and battle plans and reports every week, because if you don't, you really don't know what's going on. You might think you do, but you really don't. You have to have the numbers in front of you. So try to remember, never, never, never doubt the numbers. They don't lie. And we want to thank you for being a part of our journey, our success, and we want to thank you for being our friends. And I want you to know that John can actually speak, so I'm going to step aside and see if he can do it without fainting.
So it's been kind of a long road. I've learned a lot along the way. A lot of the things that I have learned I didn't agree with, but after we started with the numbers and can see that it was making a difference in the business, I had to concede. And at that point, whenever they told me I needed to take a class, I did take a class. And Lynn would come out to some of them too. And we really did learn a lot. And you know, after we finally got to masters, I finally figured out this thing called hatting. So I'm like, I can do the numbers, I can do them perfectly, I can do QuickBooks, I can do all this stuff. I don't like it. I don't like it. I know somebody that knows and loves this stuff. Best thing I ever did. Took her away from her job. She doesn't make as much money, but she loves being there because there's no stress like there was in her other business. She's been the most valuable asset I've ever had in a business. She does so much stuff. She's straightened out the staff. She handles all the problems. If we have a problem in the shop and the guys are ragging on me, go upstairs. HR's up there. I don't deal with this. And it has worked incredibly well. So I have to thank my wife so much for being a part of the business. If something were to happen to me, I have faith that she knows how to run it, and she can run it perfectly without me. So I thank y'all very much. It's been a great ride, and we're going to keep with it and keep on moving.